Hello, thank you guys for coming back to the channel. It's your girl, I love Betsy. Alrighty, so the last clip y'all just saw is where I worked at. My last video that I did was 9 months ago. It is now June 8th. So the last video I did was in August, right before I was starting my first HR job. And since then, I have worked at 2 other places. So let's get into it. So if you guys haven't watched my video 9 months ago. It was really talking about my HR journey and like how I got there. Just recap, I stopped working in May. I applied for 134 jobs. I got my first HR, I graduated last summer, and then I got my first HR job in August. So I started my first HR job as an HR assistant from August, September, October, November, and I left there in December. So as an HR assistant, right? So, and it is 10 o'clock, almost 11 o'clock, and I am recording this video just because I was watching YouTube. I actually just watched my video from 9 months ago, and hearing me talk from 9 months ago, the last thing I said was, I want to put videos out that I want to watch. So I'm going to do what I want to watch, other people do. So hopefully other people are like that too. Hopefully you guys, I don't know if anybody's going to watch my video, but I just want to do it just for me. Like I said in my last video, if I can just reach one person, talk to one person, I'm good. So my last job, I was an HR assistant, and I worked at a company that they paint planes for the major airlines like Southwest, United American, Air Canada, just all the planes. So it was a pretty cool job, like pretty cool designs that they did. It's called Inter. If you want to see that, they paint planes. But a little bit about that job. So I was an HR assistant. I didn't know how much that how am I gonna say this? I didn't know that my personality and myself and how hard I work, that I am not meant to be, sorry I have a glare, how I'm not meant to be an assistant at all. So I was an HR assistant, which means I gotta assist the HR manager, correct? Well, first, kind of a thing, my desk was in the front. So I was basically like a receptionist, but I was doing HR duties. So I was sitting in the front, okay? I didn't have a file cabinet. I don't know how the last HR assistant worked because she didn't have a file cabinet. I had a computer screen, I had a dual monitor, and then every time somebody had to come into the building because of COVID, I had to check the temperature. So every time somebody came in, I had to go and check their temperature, and they had to write it down. So that was one thing kind of annoying. Like I had to get up all the time. If I was in the middle of doing something, I had to get up. And then also, like if I was working on important documents, and if I had to get up to go check somebody's temperature, I had to put all those documents up because I was working on important things. Like, people have people's socials and, different things like that. So I was very annoyed. So I made them buy me a file cabinet because I'm like, I can't work with people's information like this, okay? So I was working for an assistant, so I had an HR manager, and me and her clicked. I like her as a person, but as a manager, I don't know if she wasn't a very good manager to me. Like I said, I like her as a person. If she watches this, I like you as a person, but it's just like what I learned there was, it wasn't correct. Like it didn't set me up to be successful. I set myself up. So examples. She would teach me things kind of like out of order. It was incorrect. So I was getting questioned like, why are you doing like this? But that's how I was taught, So it's like, as a person that's training somebody, you need to train them correctly. And I don't like to be wrong on things. I'm not a perfectionist, but I like to be as perfect as I can. So she'll teach me like, oh, you do this background a week later. I'm like, and you're supposed to do it before. Like, sitting a job offer, she didn't show me how to do a job offer till 2 weeks later. I'm like, oh, you're supposed to do this before they come, different things like that. So my strong thing that I bring to the table is I love to recruit. Well, I didn't know I love to recruit, but I love to be on the phones because my last job, I worked as an admissions rep. I worked in call center, so I'm used to being on the phone. One of the things that she wasn't good at is recruiting. So we had to take care of my city, and we also had to take care of another city. Well, she had to take care of another city, and she wasn't doing her job. And you know, the upper people, corporate, was kind of like getting on to her, like, hey, how come you're not recruiting? How come you're not hiring these many people? How come you're not doing this and that? So she told me, she's like, well, she's gonna tell them that they need to hire a recruiter. I was like, no, let me try. So I did it. Well, the VP guy who I talked to, he came up and he was like, I told him, I was like, hey, you know, like, since I'm doing orientation, can I try to do the recruiting? And he was all for it. He's like, if we can get Betsy to do it, then we don't need to hire nobody, you know, whatever. And this is like a month in of me working, maybe less than a month of me working. I presented myself to the VP saying, hey, I think I can do it, so let me try. So he left town, he went back home, and he called me that Monday, and he was like, hey Betsy, let's just try it out. I'm not gonna give you the role, but let's try it out. And I was all good for that because, you know, let me show myself. So for 2 weeks, he said, I'm gonna go ahead and show that you can do it, and then we will revisit it after 2 weeks. So 2 weeks, I did good. I did my city, recruit for my city, which means, like, you know, calling them, scheduling interviews, interviewing them, all of that, sending their drug screens, getting their drug screens back, telling them to come to orientation. I did orientation every Monday for them. So I did all the recruiting for my city. The other town too, I did the recruiting for them, and I couldn't do the orientation just because it was not in town, you know. So I did all the recruiting for them. I, you know, did all the interviews. I did all the sending them to their drug screen, you know, reaching out back to them. And then the only thing that my manager had to do was do their orientation on Mondays, because I was doing orientation for our city, okay? So I did that. 2 weeks came, I did, you know, like, so we had it on Indeed. And if you guys aren't familiar with Indeed, it shows you like how many people applied. 16 out of 30. That means I called, you know, how many people out of 30 people. So my numbers were going down because I was getting it done, because that's how hard of a worker I am. Well, so I was getting it done. 2 weeks passed, and then that Monday, the VP guy didn't say anything to me. So I'm like, okay, like, you know, let me just wait. Well, I emailed him that morning, and I was like, hey, it's 2 weeks. Like, do you still want me to call the other city? Like, am I getting the recruiter position? Because let me tell you, the recruiter position that they're posted was $7 more than what I was making. So why wouldn't I want to try to get that recruiting job, you know, if I was doing it? So he didn't email me back until 7 o'clock that night, and he knows that I'm off already. But for whatever reason, I checked my email on my phone, and he emailed me back. He was like, hey Betsy, you busted bud, you did a good job, but we're gonna go a different route. I was pissed. I'm like, I just busted bud for 2 weeks. The other city, they had like hundreds of people applying, and I was knocking it out. I didn't get it to down to 0, but it was like 200, so I got it down to 200, 260. By the time I like got done on that 2 weeks, I think I had like 30 people left that I didn't call, which is good because every day that people keep calling, so the numbers always go up. So I didn't get to 0, but you know, me being the receptionist, HR, basically, I had to get up, you know, help people check the temperature, do orientation. Like, I was doing a lot of things that I couldn't get my city done and the other city. My city was always at 0. Like, I called 100% of my people. And I was only doing the other city because I was having her out, because my HR manager, because that was her territory, but I just helped her out. So for 2 weeks after, I didn't call the other city because he didn't give me the position, right? So why would I call the other city? So I kept checking Indeed because I was being petty, and I was like, how many people's applying? So I got up to 100, got up to 200, it got up to 300. Like, people were applying for the other city's position, but I wasn't calling no more. She wasn't calling no more. So it got all the way up to 900 candidates of people applying that nobody reached out to them, because your girl, I Love Betsy, was not calling anymore because they wanted to go a different route. I always called my city, so mine was always on point at 0, 10. You know, I just had a couple, but my city was always on point. It just, the other city was not, because I stopped calling it. So 2 weeks passed. I got up to 800 in candidates. 800. I might be exaggerating. It might be like 750 people applied for positions. Nobody called. So 2 weeks came. I went to my manager's office because we had to do a phone call with the VP. He was like, hey, hey Betsy, do you think you can start calling the other cities candidates again, because they're behind 2 weeks? I said no. And he was like, why not? And I said, because you didn't want to give me the recruiter position. You know, I busted butt and I proved myself in 2 weeks, but you didn't want to give me that position. Long story short, I had to call the other city, right? So I called the other city. So I started in August. September, I went to Hawaii. So I was calling it. I came back and I was calling, you know, I was doing my job. In 900, and the positions were still open, so the people are still applying. So I finally had to close those positions and just keep calling, right? I got all the way up down to 600 within like probably 2-3 weeks, right? Because I'm still calling my city too. So I got it down by a lot. I'm tracking it. You know, I'm getting her busy because the more people I call for that city is more candidates that she's gonna do the onboarding for in that town. So I was giving her work basically. So I did it for a long time. You know, busted butt. I just did really good on that. You know, not trying to brag or anything, but I did really good on it. I went to New York. I went to Hawaii last year, and I got COVID, right? And I was pissed because I'm like, dang, I was working all this overtime to get a big check for whatever I was wanting a big check for, and I was sick. Like, the night before I got COVID, I texted my boyfriend. I said, hey, I don't feel good. And my temperature was only 99. He said, oh, that's not a fever. I'm like, I know it's not a fever, but I don't feel good. The next morning, because he works nights, so he came home at that morning. And I guess I don't know, he hugged me, touched me, or whatever. He said, you're burning up. I woke up and I checked my temperature. I was 101. And then, so I text my boss. I said, hey, I have a fever. I can't come to work today. That was a Thursday. I got tested Thursday, and it came back. I was positive for COVID. So, so Friday they called me and they asked me, can I still work from home? Me being the hard worker that I am, I was recruiting still Monday and Tuesday, but I could barely talk. I'm vaccinated, so I have 2 shots, but I could barely talk. I can barely catch my breath. And then, so Monday I worked for a couple hours, and I was so sleepy, so I went to sleep. And then either Monday or Tuesday, one of the days I went to sleep and I woke up from my nap and I start working again. So, but I only worked Monday and Tuesday. That's all I could last. When I came back to work after my, after quarantine, I come back, because when you recruit, you have to, you know, I keep track of it so I can make sure how many people I called and, you know, see if I sent them the drug screen. Like, I'm a organized person. I don't know if you guys saw my last video, but all the jobs I applied for, I put on an Excel sheet. So every time I recruit, I always put their name, their email, you know, whatever, so I can know how many people call. So if anybody asks me how many calls did you do on Thursday, I can highlight it. Oh, I called 32, or oh, I called 68, you know, so just for me. And there's a report that you send every week. So those 2 weeks that were gone, my manager didn't do it. So when I came back to work, I said, how come it wasn't done? And she said, oh, I've been busy. I'm like, okay. Well, how many calls did you do? So in the 2 weeks I was gone, she only called 3 people. Those 2 days that I worked with COVID, I called 67 people when I was out of breath. So it was just so many things. Like, she didn't set me up to be successful at all. Like, I was doing all her duties and I wasn't getting paid for it. So what finally was like kind of my breaking point. So the day before Thanksgiving, we were gonna go on Thanksgiving break, or, you know, off that day. She said, hey, can you come in and talk to me? I was like, okay. So I started August. I got a verbal in November for being insubordinate. Because that time when he asked me the second time, can I recruit for the other city? And I said no. And he said, why? I said, because you guys didn't give me the position. But I still did it. So yes, I did say no. But, you know, because I was upset about it. Like, how come you can't ask the manager who was in charge of it before? Why are you asking me that I'm getting paid this much money and she gets paid this way up here? You can't even see my screen, but I'm getting this and she's getting this. She's getting paid for it, but I'm doing all the work. She wasn't calling anybody. So that's what my breaking point was, is because I wasn't valued. I wasn't appreciated. I was doing all the work, and I was not meant to be somebody's backup, you know what I mean? So then I started applying for other jobs. So that was Thanksgiving. So now it's December. So December, I was off one day. Well, actually, one day I applied for a job for another HR position, because my this girl that I know, she was leaving this position. So she posted on Facebook. She's like, hey, do you want to another HR job? And I was like, kind of like the right time. I'm like, yes, because they just made me mad. I just talked 16 minutes of my first HR position, right? I love the facility. It just, my manager, me and her click as people, but me and her didn't click as co-workers. You know, even though she was my manager, we just didn't click. So I was like, yes, I'm looking for another job. So I went on my lunchtime to this new facility, and it's a long-term facility. And the interview was not even that long. So that was a Thursday that I interviewed. The next week, so Thursday I interviewed. Monday I followed up. She said, oh, we're still interviewing. I'm like, okay. So she called me that Friday. She said, hey, corporate wants to do a second interview. And so this Friday, I was off work for my job, because I was going to an event. So I got my hair done that day. I got my makeup done. And I was ready drinking. It was 6 o'clock. So I was ready drinking, getting ready for this event. So I did my interview for this new job when I was a little buzzed, which I wouldn't do that, but they called me at that time, you know. And so I did that interview. And so she said, well, can I reach back out to you that night, because it was 6 o'clock already, and see if, you know, if we can offer you the position. I said, well, I'm going to this event, so you can email me, because I probably can't answer the phone. And then so I talked to her the next day. So that Saturday, she offered me the position. Before I accept this position, my last facility, the first facility, the painting position, it was just so much stuff that we were just butting head. What really set me off was they posted my job on one of the job sites, like my position. And so I was scrolling on my phone, I saw it. I called a facility because it didn't say like what company it was for. It just like they're hiring for an HR admin, and it said painting planes. I'm like, there's no other painting planes in our city, so who is this for? So I called the company, and they said it was for my company. I said, that's so weird, because that's my job right now. So I thought something fishy was going on. So now that my job is posted online, I confronted my company, and I was like, hey, are y'all firing me or something? Because why is my job on there? And they said, no, it's a mistake. It's a mistake. I asked my manager. She said, a mistake. I asked the general manager, a mistake. And then the general manager called the VP. And they said, oh, no, that's for the other city. I'm like, whatever. Y'all, something's fishy going on. So when this new company offered me a position, I took it, right? I started that Monday. So now I started an HR admin position for 5 months. I gained some experience, not too much, but then I moved over. Now I'm an HR coordinator, okay? So bumping up, I am now an HR coordinator. I had my own office. It was just, now it's all me. Like, I don't have to answer to nobody. Well, I had to answer to my boss, but I didn't have to, nobody was going to tell me really what to do and how to do my files, how to do orientation, how to do my checklists, how to do background checks, how to do whatever, right? So it was all me, coordinator. Cool. Yes, I'm moving up. I was making this job offered me $4 more, an own office. I didn't have to be the front desk anymore. Just it was just better, right? What I thought. 20 minutes. I hopefully you guys grab a snack because this is a long video. So now I'm working at this, well, December, I left my first job to go to the second job. It's a long-term facility position, which I never worked in medical field. I never done anything medical. I never taken medical classes. But you know me, I didn't have HR. You don't have to do any medical related things. You're just working with nurses and CNAs and stuff. So I love that position. I feel I did really well. The person before me, when I walked in the door, the office had files on the floor, like stacked up. Not files, it had paper put together on the floor, stacked up. Had paper stacked together in a crate. So this office was a tornado. Like, it was nothing organized. I had to fix a lot of things. Like, people's background checks weren't done in these folders. It's just a lot of things. So I cleaned up this office a whole bunch, like a whole bunch. So this HR coordinator position, it was different because I got to do basically everything my own way, but I still got everything done. So like, that's what I knew for sure, that I was not meant to be an assistant, because the first manager, she would just keep giving me jobs. You do this, you do this, you do this. And when I looked in her office, she was just on her phone, or she brought her son to work, so she was just hanging out with her son. Like, I was like, dang, I want to do that. I want to be able to be a boss and give all the jobs to somebody else and get paid for it, you know? But no, like, you know, like, that's not fair. That's like being in a class group and everybody does work except one person, but they still get an A. You know, that's how I felt at my first job. So the second job, it was good. I loved it. Only thing that was hard about it was because in the medical field, it's very hard to keep nurses and CNAs and CMAs, you know, employed, because we have agency. And so if you're not familiar with that, it's a long story. But it was hard to keep my facility happy because we were like not the lowest, but we were one of the lowest paying positions for nurses and CNAs, that people were leaving. So they're looking at me now, Betsy, hey, you're HR coordinator, you need to bring people on. But my situation with that was because the director of nursing and assistant director of nursing wasn't keeping the staff members happy. So at this position, the HR coordinator position, I had to do employee appreciation every month, which means like I bring pizza, I bring donuts, I bring snacks, Coke floats, whatever, right, to keep the staff happy. I do that 4 times a month. My little pizza and my little cookies is not going to keep people happy. You know, what keeps people happy is their managers. So if managers can't keep the staff happy, they're going to leave no matter what I do. So I was at this medical place from December, and I actually just left in April, right? It was just a lot of headaches because when I do orientation is 4 hours. And my boss wanted me to do it every day, and I can't do that every day. So it was just a lot of things. I probably could do a story time on that, but so I was an HR admin, I was an HR coordinator, and now June, I am an HR generalist. So that's why you gotta know your worth. You gotta know like what you can take. Like my second job as an HR coordinator, my boss was like just talking down on me, like, you know, as a grown person, as a worker, as a good employee, you don't need to take that. You know, it was just a toxic environment. I just knew my worth. I was like, this is not where I need to be. I cleaned that office up. I got everything up to code. I got everything just right. And it was very sad because staff members kept telling me, Betsy, you're the best HR we had. You actually care. As an HR person, it doesn't matter what you're doing. You need to follow the handbook, right? Your handbook is your Bible. So as that job, I had to close my eyes on a lot of things because what managers were doing behind the scenes that wasn't up to handbook, code. It didn't felt right with me. So I left that position just recently and I started as an HR generalist at another facility for the VA. And now I am making $6 more than what I was making at my last job. So you guys, let's kind of do the math, right? And hold on, let me do the math on my real quick. So my first job, okay, so my first job, HR job, I was making about $35,000. Okay, 34,000. My second job as an HR coordinator, I made 42,000. Is that right? $42,000, almost 43. I am now making over almost $60,000. You guys, from August to June, not even a whole year. So yes, I have moved around, but I was improving myself. I was chasing the bag basically, okay? So as an HR admin, I feel like it's a good entry position job, but as a strong, willed person, as a motivated person, as a determined person, as, that's not all I have to give an HR position. I'm not meant to answer your phone call, go get your coffee, do all your work for you. I'm not that person. The second job as HR coordinator, I feel I could have been there long. That facility was just a toxic thing. Like when you have management, it just wasn't the right fit for me. And I was there for a long time, but my pay wasn't matching what I was doing, if that makes sense, okay? So when I interviewed for the job that I have currently right now, which I love, I told them, knowing what I know now from my last position, for this position walking in, I need to walk in with my pay matching the work I'm doing. So what I asked for, they topped it. They topped it, So I feel like I'm going to start this whole HR, series. I'm really gonna do it because I've been motivated. I watched my last video before I'm recording right now, and even though it's me talking, I don't remember what I said 9 months ago, and it kind of hit me. Like it says, like, if what I said, it just hit me. So you guys need to watch it, kind of get some tips for me, because I gave some tips in that video. But don't settle for anything. Don't settle for less. Don't settle at all, because there's always first money to be made, but also two, you can improve as an employee, and that should be your goal, to improve as an employee. If you're going to be stuck in the same position, that's all for you. But for me, no, I need to make better everything. So I feel like I'm going to talk more about my second HR coordinator position, and probably in a separate video, because I was only there for 6 months, but there's so many reasons why I left. They didn't offer PTO until you're there for a year, which means I won't have PTO till December. Different things like that. So I think I'm gonna do a whole video on that. But yes, thank you guys for watching my video. I'm gonna watch this and make sure I said everything I need to say in this video. It's probably all over the place, but I do want to start a whole series of HR things, what to expect, what kind of jobs you actually do every day. Maybe I'll do a work vlog. Maybe I could do that tomorrow, depending if I look cute or not. But yeah, I watched this girl, and when I first started HR 9 months ago, there wasn't a lot of HR videos, and that's what made me want to post my first video of HR stuff because there wasn't a lot of videos on that. But now I watch this girl. She posted, I think her last video was 4 months ago. Or no, she posted, I think like 12 days ago. I'm gonna post her, see if I can find her name. And I posted down her. She actually, I'm like, okay, if she's doing it, let me do it too. Because I'm telling her, I did not see her video 9 months ago. So, so kind of like motivated me to kind of do it. So I do want to get back to YouTube, kind of see if I can do anything, see if anybody's watching my videos. If not, I'm just talking to myself, it's fine. But maybe I'll get one person to watch my video, but we'll see. But yes, I'm going to watch the video back to see if I can post it on YouTube. If it's good, if you're watching this, that means I did good. But my suggestion is always keep pushing, always apply for that job. And even if you don't qualify for the job, just always apply for it anyways, because you never know. I'm glad every door opened to where I need to be today. I'm glad I had to go through all that learning to kind of know my worth and know what I shouldn't have to deal with. So yes, I love you guys. Thank you guys for watching. It's your girl, I Love Betsy. Please subscribe, talk to me down below, ask me some questions, give me some pointers. It is 11 o'clock at night, so I look like I should be going to bed. But yes, thank you guys.